post my contact form 7 plugin, and in this tutorial we're going to explore how to actually map that post taxonomies for a user front end to select terms in which the post should be saved under. So in the previous tutorial we were looking at how we can save a form to an existing post type. This tutorial is actually a continuation of that tutorial, and in that tutorial I had created a small form with a post title, a post comment, and a thumbnail. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add an extra field here, which is going to be the categories. And there are various ways we can actually get the categories to display here. We can actually use a checkbox, we can use a radio field. So for example, if you had if you were mapping, say, the post tags, and you had 2 tags from which the user had to select a term from, but only one of them, you could set it up as a radio field, so it's either or of that scenario. In this case, what we're going to do is we can simply use a select drop down. So here we have the drop down menu. We can insert here our post category fields. Let's make this required. And now what we want to do is we want to make sure that any selection from this drop down has to be saved as a category. And to do this, we scroll down to the bottom section of the form to post into the taxonomy section, and we simply add a new mapping. In this case, we're going to map to one of the existing categories, existing taxonomies. Again, the warning, because we're currently live with the submission. And then we press the save button, and now that we have the post categories are going to be filled in by this select drop down. And notice how in this section where you map the default fields of the post, we have the select option coming up, as well as the other fields that are present in the form, while here we only have the select. And the reason behind this is very simple, and that's the fact that only checkbox, radio, or select fields can be mapped to taxonomies, and I will come back to this as to why this is the case. So in this case, we have to save the post category. Now we make it back to live, and we update this mapping. And you can see now that the post category has been saved to the categories. So that's that should then allow us to reload the form, that the new field is being added as a select, and it is automatically being populated by the post categories. This is done by the plugin, even though in the actual form we have not added any options in the select field. We've left the select field blank intentionally, and the plugin then detects the fact that it is mapped to the taxonomy and automatically fetches the terms of that taxonomy to populate the drop down field. It is also possible to actually filter the query for those terms. So for example, if you wanted to only display the branch of house facilities and you did not want to display the kitchen facilities in this drop down, this would be achievable by filtering the taxonomy query that is being done by the plugin in the back end. And you can find such actions by looking at the CF7 to post actions and filters meta box, which is available here. Filter the term list, there we are, which is mapped into the taxonomy field. So you can simply copy and paste the helper code that is given here into your functions.php file, and then determine which terms you actually want the plugin to populate the field. Now, if we are then to actually submit this as hello world 3, let's say, we put a thumbnail, and we're going to select baby bed as we submit, and we now go among our posts and refresh this. You see the hello world 3 post has been created. It has been categorized under baby bed, and it has a feature image. Now the plugin also allows the conversion of a select drop-down field into the Select2 plugin drop-down. If you don't know about the Select2, you can Google it, Select2. But to activate a given field as a Select2, you need to actually add a class here. So if I add class JS JavaScript Select2 like that, and now update, and now that if I reload this form, you'll notice here there's a slight change in the Select2, and there is a nice little search facilities here, which could be, say for example, we wanted a toaster. Let's see if there's a toaster. So in the kitchen facilities we have a toaster, and this handy little search box here, which is provided by the Select2 drop down field, allows you to search for terms in a long list. If there was a very long list of such of such taxonomy terms, this would make it very handy to be able to search through some of them. One of the problems with the select drop down, including the Select2, is the fact that it is limited to a single grouping of terms. So here we have the house facilities with a set of child terms that reflects the top level term called house facilities and top level branch. And then further down here we have kitchen facilities, which has got a child called baking supplies, which itself has a set of child terms. So we can see here in the post categories that under kitchen facilities, the baking supplies is a child, which itself has a set of child terms, and therefore this kind of hierarchical branching cannot be displayed properly in a select drop down. And the only way to overcome this is to actually use checkboxes. So if I now change this from a select field to a checkbox, let me remove the class for now. And so you can see here now the field has also been updated to reflect that it's a checkbox in the mapping. So we don't need to actually update the mapping as such. And in the front end now, if we refresh, the field is now being displayed as a checkbox, where the hierarchical branching of the taxonomies is preserved, and you can see the baking supplies has got these 4 terms as indicated as being child of baking supplies. So we could increase the width of this column in order to actually reflect a little bit better and have more space in the checkbox. But you can appreciate that checkboxes are limited in what they can properly display. So that's a little bit better, but still it means that this checkbox listing takes quite a lot of space on the form and is not a very concise way of displaying it. It would be fine if we had a smaller set of categories, but this just to show that the only way to display multiple grouping and multiple nesting of hierarchical taxonomies is using a checkbox. And this is where we use the handy hybrid select class, which will convert the checkbox field this time into a hybrid dropdown. And the hybrid dropdown plugin actually allows for multi-level nesting and grouping of items of options in a list, and it preserves the checkboxes as well, so we can actually select, say, the flower, and thereby even select multiple values for our taxonomy. So let's put now this up to Hello World 4. We need a thumbnail. And now if we look at the posts, which has been filed under the 3 terms that were selected on the front end.